Welcome, welcome, welcome to our program from the Indigenous Voices Project of Climate Reality Project Bay Area Chapter. I am Alma Soongi Beck. I am one of the co-chairs of our climate justice team. One of our other co-chairs is also here, Siri, who you will meet in a few minutes. This is our program called the Willow Project and Ambler Road, Indigenous Resistance to Extraction and Eco-Colonialism in Alaska. We're so very, very pleased that you decided to join us today for this program. And we have two really important speakers who are here from Alaska. The first speaker is Bernadette Demientieff, Executive Director of the Gwich'in Steering Committee. And secondly, Angel Stickman. Inupiaq name is Missigak from the Alaska Mining Issues Network Council. So without further ado, let's go ahead and introduce Bernadette, who's going to talk somewhat about the Willow Project as well as the Alaska Wildlife Refuge.
We are caribou people. We carry a piece of the caribou in our heart, and the caribou carry a piece of us in their heart. And there was a time when we were able to communicate with the caribou. There was a vow that we would take care of each other. To honor this, we have been taught that we must take care of the caribou, and in return, they will take care of us. The spiritual connection we have with the caribou is very much real. The survival of the Gwich'in depends on the survival of this herd.
Bernadette Demientieff, easily. My name is Bernadette Demientieff. I'm the Executive Director of the Gwich'in Steering Committee, an organization that was founded in 1988 by the elders and chiefs of the Gwich'in Nation of Alaska and Canada. Our elders and chiefs gathered for the first time in over 150 years. And they gathered because people were coming into our homelands telling us that we were going to be rich, if we develop the lands that we consider very sacred. And at that gathering, they gave us three directions, and that was to go out and tell the world we are here, to do the work in a good way and not to compromise our position. To do that work, to do the work in a good way, that's a really simple sentence, but it's not always easy when you're up against corporate greed, dishonesty from our own elected leadership, and just even sometimes our own people, the lateral violence that we have to tolerate and experience doing this work. So after that, now we gather every 2 years, affirm our commitment to protect the coastal plain of the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge. Whether we're at the bottom of Alaska or the top of Alaska, the middle, I'm interior. What happens in Alaska is going to affect us all. I don't ever remember my elders sitting me down and telling me that the coastal plain was sacred to our people. I just always remembered it. I grew up knowing that this is land that's so sacred to us that we don't step foot there. And so, one thing that I always like to remind people is that the Gwich'in may lead this fight, but it's not just about us. There's so many different tribes, there's so many different entities that depend on the porcupine caribou herd. It's just that we're allowed. We've had a spiritual and cultural connection to the porcupine caribou herd since time immemorial. Our creation story tells us that there was a time we were able to communicate with the animals, and made a vow to each other that we will take care of one another. And they've taken care of us for over 40,000 years. We migrated alongside them. So if you look at the migratory route of the Gwich'in communities and the migratory route of the caribou, they're nearly identical. And our ancestors settled us on the migratory route so that we can continue to live and thrive off the caribou. Now we have people coming into our homelands making decisions about our future, and they're not involving us. So I was born into a corporation. It's called the Doyon Corporation in Alaska, and Alaska has 12 corporations and between 227 and 231 federally recognized tribes. But the corporation does not speak for me, does not speak for my family. And the way that I like to put it is the corporations are going to be the ones who's going to benefit from the destruction that they cause. And the tribes are going to have to live with the destruction that they cause. It's really, I mean, you know, it's frustrating, and it's an emotional fight because, you know, I have children and I have grandchildren, and I worry about their future. I worry about the world that I'm going to leave them in. And then we're also up against, greed. It's all about money. But I was raised to understand that we are already rich in our culture. We are already rich in our ways of life. And, you know, oil lasts, 40 years? If we leave the animals alone, if we take care of the land that we were blessed with, it can last forever. But it's unfortunately not like that. The Gwich'in Steering Committee stands alongside, you know, our Inupiaq brothers and sisters that want to also protect their homes. Like I said, whatever happens, it happens to us all. ADA, the corporation, the Alaska corporation that's trying to drill in our sacred lands, is the same corporation that's going into the Willow project, to the Ambler Road. You know, and whether people understand, we're real people. We're mothers, we're fathers, we're grandparents, and we matter, and our children matter, and our future generations matter. And we're not asking for anything. We're not asking for money, for jobs, we're just simply asking to be left alone. And it's hard. It's really hard when we're up against a corporation that has millions of dollars that can say and do whatever they want. In Alaska, it is so divided because they give out this yearly permanent fund dividend, it's called. And to me, I feel like it's payment. It's giving people money to agree to continue to destroy our lands. But it's, you know, this ADA corporation, they spilled over 500 million tons of toxins into the Kotzebue and Javelina rivers. So they can't tell us that they're not going to damage, you know, our home. We still have a chance to protect what we have, and we're not giving up. The Gwich'in Steering Committee, we just finally started reaching out to other tribes in Alaska. We've been going to Washington, D.C. since 1988, speaking with congressional leaders. But in 2017, Trump's administration opened the Arctic Refuge to oil and gas development, lands that we consider so sacred that we don't step foot there. And we weren't getting anywhere in DC, so we started reaching out to directly to the banks. And as of today, we have 6 of the biggest banks in the United States and in Canada, 19, I think, nationally. And then, 36 banks and 19 insurance companies. We're pressuring them, and we're just letting them know, because for so long, the corporation's been speaking for us, not just in Washington, D.C., but going as far as to visit the same banks we were. When I was in New York at one of the banks, there was a corporation shareholder there that was trying to persuade them after they had made a commitment not to fund any Arctic refuge development. And so you can see what we're up against. And we're just, we're a small tribe, but I don't know, I have faith like Angel, up here, we don't have, when you go to Washington, D.C., you have to have like a title of some sort. But up here, we're raised, our elders, they're our scientists, they know this land better than anybody else. And it's just, we're starting to meet and come together. We had the Arctic Indigenous Climate Summit. I don't know if you guys heard of that, but if you go to our website, ourarcticrefuge.org, there's a full report on there, and it's all traditional knowledge from our firsthand hunters and our elders, not just from the Gwich'in territory, but from the Barrow area, Inupiaq Pass, Huslia, Hughes, just all over. We need allies. We need people sharing our stories, and to understand that just because a corporation or our elected leadership comes out and says that we are in support of this, Alaska is not an oil state. Alaska is a native home to all of us. And we want to continue to live and thrive off the land that Creator blessed us with. I mean, this is the third year. I just got back from fishing yesterday at 3 a.m. this morning. And I had to go all the way to Kenai to fish because I'm not allowed to fish on the Yukon. And not everybody's fortunate enough to go down there, but our bodies need our food. We get sick. Our elders get sick when we don't have our traditional food. And, there's some of the hunting is starting to get impacted. There's just so much chaos up here. And our senators is not speaking up about it. We have record-breaking fires. We have 33 coastal communities dealing with erosion. And, the Willow project, they're just diving in there. They're not respecting the Indigenous peoples there. They listen to the corporations. And like I said, they benefit from the destruction that we're going to have to live with. The Ambler Road, I've worked with some of the chiefs there, and we're talking about joining together to stop this. I think we've all pretty much had enough of it, and we need allies, we need support. We need people to tell our stories because we're not being put out there, and we're the ones who's going to have to live with all of this, our children. And I use my voice because I worry about my kids. I worry about my grandchildren. I go to enough climate change classes to know that what's going to come, and it's scary. And this is the prophecy that our elders have told us. We're going to have food shortage. We're going to have to learn how to survive off the land fully again. And where are these people going to be? The ones that are coming in, destroying things that we hold sacred, destroying our water. And where are they going to be? Are they going to be here helping us? That's not going to happen, because what we just saw in Inupiaq had an oil spill, and the oil company took all of their employees out and left the village to deal with it on their own. And they're the ones who did the spilling. So we understand that we are going to have to deal with this on our own. And we're willing to do it. We're not giving up. That's not an option for us. This is our home. There's nowhere else for us to go. So I don't know if I touched on every subject, but I'm starting to get emotional, and it's just, it means a lot to me. It means a lot to me what's happening to our animals and what's happening to our people, because we're getting sick, and nobody's doing anything, and it's all because of money. And I'm not gonna lie, I like money, you know, who doesn't? But none of it's going to negatively impact my people. None of it's going to hurt our future generations. It's not worth it to me. So, thank you. And I'm sorry.
Fine. That was very helpful. Thank you, Bernadette. I was hoping at least one of you at some point could talk a little bit about the native corporations, but I just wanted to make a note that Bernadette was talking about the corporation and was also referring to Alaska has a very particular situation where there were native corporations set up, which has created a very unique situation for the Indigenous communities up there. But feel free to say anything more about it either now or later, Bernadette.
I think it's just like Congress, the way that the corporations are set up there. They get voted in, the same people. There's a lady on my corporation that's been on there since the year I was born. And that's, you know, I don't know. I think there's got to be a time when you teach the younger generation of the work that you're doing, because we have to realize that this work is not about us. I mean, you know, I always remind people when I travel, just because I'm here, it doesn't make this about me. It doesn't make it about me. I'm just a spokesperson for my people. And that's just, you know, how I always try to come up and tell people about it is we're just spokespeople or just spokespersons.
Thank you, Bernadette. So, Angel Stickman, we'll turn it to you. And please tell us also a little bit about the Alaska Mining Issues Network.
Okay, awesome. So it's nice to be here, you guys. So, my name is Angel Stickman. I am from the native village of Shungnak. It's a small Inupiaq village located in Northwest Alaska. But I currently live in North Pole near Fairbanks in the interior, where Bernadette is also located. My normal job is I'm an advocate for victims of domestic violence and sexual assault. I am a council member for the Alaska Mining Impacts Network, and I spend, a lot of my time, if I'm not at work or if I'm not in school, I spend a lot of my time spreading information about the effects of mining and how it affects Indigenous communities. This is a map, and it can show you, a little bit about where my village is located. I'm from the Shungnak tribe, like I said before. So this is a picture in my village. It's just one picture, Well, we can also show the other picture. Yeah, and this is in the winter. So this is a picture of the school in my village. So I grew up in Shungnak until I was 12 years old. My dad passed when I was 10, so my mom moved us to Fairbanks when we were 12. So, I have a lot of memories, and the Kobuk River really means a lot to me. I grew up on the river fishing and camping. These are my cousin's son and I think her nephew, but this is, fishing in the summer in Shungnak. So isn't that awesome? So Alaska contains transitional minerals such as copper, cobalt, graphite, and some other rare earth elements. So additionally, although not a transitional mineral, gold mining is also being pushed here in Alaska. So the state of Alaska is aggressively, like really trying to finance these proposed hard rock mining projects. And at both the state level and the federal level, we are seeing efforts to ease the permitting processes for international mining corporations. And along with the 5 current running mines here in Alaska, there's over 10 industrial scale hard rock mines currently trying to be explored or permitted here in Alaska. So you can see here on the map. So I want to now talk about the Alma Road project here in Alaska. In order to reach the Alaska Mining District, which is where my village is located and other tribes, the state of Alaska has proposed to build a 211-mile long road cutting through the Brooks Range, crossing 2,900 streams, 11 major rivers, 1,700 acres of wetlands, plus intersecting 3 caribou herds migratory routes. So the road in itself is destructive, and they want to reach the area so they can build a huge mine, a huge mine. And we can talk about Red Dog Mine a little bit after. They want to build it the size of 5 Red Dogs, which is 10 Fairbankses, and Fairbanks is the second biggest city in Alaska. So I want to talk, a little bit about my village. So this is the Kobuk River, and this is what I've been talking about. And why I'm doing this is because of this river right here. So my village, as well as other villages, are located next to this river. Like I said before, I grew up on this river, fishing and camping. And all of these villages, including my village, rely heavily on this river for fish. We rely on this river for water. We rely on it to survive. If we didn't have this river, I don't think anyone, would live in this area. We also rely on caribou, we rely on moose, bears, ducks, berries, the tundra. And another important reason why this is important is because we travel to each village using this river. A lot of people don't understand is that, we're not connected. All of the villages in Alaska are not connected with roads. And I feel like that's what makes it unique, and why, that the environment is so good is because we're not connected, you know what I mean? So my dad, like I said, my dad passed when I was 10, but he was a really good hunter. I remember him coming home with, bears and caribou, and one time lynx. And we even one time went out and got caribou in the winter time. Not caribou, but rabbits. I went with my dad, and me and my sister were on the snow machine. There were all 3 of us. I guess we fit because me and my sister were younger at the time. So, but that was just really awesome. Really, really good memories. And we would also go down to the river and catch our fish for that, for dinner for that day. And, I want it to continue to be that way, where we can rely on this river and fish. So I want to talk a little bit about fish camp. Like I said, I would go all the time. So how we would get there is we would travel in a small boat, and we travel for hours, right, to our fish camp. And what we would do in fish camp is we would fish, and we would help my grandma, wash the fish and dry it on a rack like you see here. So in this picture right here, my grandma is hanging salmon. And so this is in front of my grandpa's house. Unfortunately, our camp was affected by erosion. So my grandpa made a fish rack in front of his house. And the picture right here to the left, these are stairs down to the beach. And so, each family is different. Sometimes they go to their fish camp every summer, or they go down to the beach, and then there's a lot of fish racks down here lined up where, people can go fishing and then come back to town and hang their fish here. So this road and mine will forever change our ways of living. It will affect our traditional foods and our lives. And it's just, it's going to be really devastating. We lived off the land for thousands of years, and, I don't want to worry about what's in the water or air pollution, what's in the air, or, it's just really devastating, like I said before. There is hope. We've seen grassroots efforts led by tribes like the United Tribes of Bristol Bay. They actually stopped an industrial scale mining project. They wanted this project going for the mining company were trying to make this mine for like 20 years. It was a 20-year fight, but they finally stopped them. I think there's something going on. I think they're trying to start it or something in Washington. So under the Trump administration, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers rejected the critical permits. And just this year, the EPA finalized the 404C Clean Water Act protections that will stop the proposed Pebble mine. So it was just actually this year that the Pebble mine was just stopped. So that's a really big win. So although there is hope, right now is a very critical time, because like I said before, these mining companies are trying to push these projects the state and also in Washington, federally. So there is hope, but at the same time, it's really critical right now. That's why, this is a really big issue. The state of Alaska, the mining projects and the federal government need to listen to Indigenous people, and hear what we have to say, because this really means a lot to us. So like I said, I'm a part of the Alaska Mining Impacts Network. And so what the network does is bring a lot of us Alaskans who are, fighting these mines together, and we have meetings every month, and we talk about how we can stop these mines, in various ways, like using grassroots or other ways. So that's what we do. I'm really thankful for them, because before that we were facing these mines and we weren't talking to each other, but the Impacts Network brought us together. A lot of people think that mining is the answer, right? The whole answer. But, I want to say to people who think mining is 100% the answer is that electric cars and the latest iPhones are not worth the destruction of my homelands, of my water, the health of our water, the health of the people, our caribou that we catch every year. It's not worth that. And that's the reason why they want this mining district, is to get the copper and the cobalt for electric cars and the latest technology, but that's just not worth it, Okay, so I am now moving on to talk about the clean energy and stuff. So I would actually present with Payal Sampet, and she is the mining program director of Earthworks. And this is her information that we're going to see the next the slides. And if you guys have any questions about her information or any of these slides, you guys can reach out to her. We previously presented together in New Orleans at a conference there, but because of the time constraints, she said that I can talk about her slides. Okay, I'm not a mining or clean energy transition expert, but in the past I have presented, like I said, along Payal. So as Alaskans, we are on the front lines of climate change. And as according to the EPA, over the past 60 years, the average temperature across Alaska has increased by approximately 3 degrees. And so this increase is more than twice the warming seen in the rest of the United States. We know we need to transition to clean energy, but we must center rights and equity and avoid replicating one form of harmful extraction for another, right? So transitional minerals. So in Alaska, and specifically with the Ambler Industrial Mining Access Road, we are seeing a push to expand mining for copper and cobalt. And these are often described as critical or strategic minerals. So we should be wary of the phrase critical and or strategic minerals, as it is most often used as a public relations effort and justification for pro-extraction decision makers and mining companies to attempt to eviscerate important community and environmental oversight of the mining industry. So transition minerals is the preferred term to use, right? So this slide is fairly self-explanatory, and I think the most important bullet point is the last one. So if you can take a look at that, mining disproportionately harms Indigenous communities, and we've seen that through history. If you do research and look at how mining hurts communities, then it's really devastating. And I can also talk about the village of Kivalina and how Red Dog has affected the village of Kivalina. Okay. So this slide has a ton of information, but it shows that there is hope, especially with good advocacy efforts and political will. So we need policies that encourage recycling. We need R&D investments to advance battery technologies that rely on less mineral content, right? We need to invest in and incentivize public transit and bike transit infrastructure. We need stronger standards, not faster processes. For mining projects, right? So especially standards that center free, prior, and informed consent of Indigenous peoples. And lastly, there are third-party assurance oversight groups, such as the Initiative for Responsible Mining Assurance, in other words, the acronym is IRMA, who will play a critical role moving forward. So like I said before, I wanted to talk about Kivalina. So the village of Kivalina, they're also in the Nana region where I'm from. It's located in the Nana region, and they are located next to a Red Dog mine, one of the biggest zinc producers in the world. And my corporation Nana also, has a lot of control of that of Red Dog mine. But this village of 400 people, they're located, next to this mine, and they don't even have running water in their homes. Like, think about that. That's really, they have running water in the washateria and in the clinic in the school, but like, think about that. And they've been experiencing a lot of health issues. This mine is dumping their wastewater, their waste, and then the chemicals from the mining into their water. And this little village of 400 people, they're experiencing cancers, rare cancers, and a lot of other sicknesses, not only in adults, but also the children. Like, it's really devastating, So that's going on right now. And Red Dog Mine, they want to expand. And the guy that I know who works on the council, he posted on Facebook, and that really pulled on my heartstrings because of what's happening. He asked the Nana shareholders to share his opinion, not his opinion, but his story, and share what's going on, and to let others know that they don't want this expansion, and they've been fighting and arguing with the Nana Corporation for a long time. So I also wanted to talk about Native corporations. So I believe in the 1970s, ANWR was passed, and ANWR stands for Alaska Native Claims Settlement Act. So down in the US, the lower 48, how the indigenous peoples there have reservations, how that was settled. We have native claim corporations. So overnight, they expected us to be business peoples, businessmen, businesswomen. And so they said, okay, we'll give you 10% of the land, out of 100%, they only gave these corporations all split up, about 10%. And so, yeah, like Bernadette said before, our leadership is not telling or not really fighting for us. We're fighting against them because they are, they want greed. They want to extract minerals from the land, and they're not, representing us right. So, yeah. Anyways, if you guys have any other questions, you guys can ask me, or Pyle, her information is on here. Geku, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Angel. The next period, we're going to do questions and answers. And so we have a question that came from the floor from Alice, which is, can you tell us specifically what actions you need from us right now, and what can we do to help? For example, are there petitions or campaigns we can sign or join onto? Bernadette, why don't you go first?
For the Arctic Refuge, we are asking just for continued support in Congress, and write to banks and insurance companies. I believe, Angel, you guys might be wanting to connect about how to. This is this campaign that we're doing again is pretty successful, I found out. So. We just want to try to, just tell our story and support us when we need it. When we need to continue to stay on the insurance companies, because they can't drill there if they don't have insurance. So and going after the banks, but I think we need to be working together. It's also our duty to do that. So
yes, yeah, Bernadette, we need to connect. And I never thought about the fighting against the banks. I never thought about that. So that's a really good idea, and we need to put our focus on there. That's a really good idea. Yeah.
It took us a couple of years. It didn't happen overnight. It's a lot of work. Okay. We went there. It took I think our second or third year. That's when they started making the commitment, and then we started going to the insurance companies, and it's it's hard when we have to go to, these people that never understand our way of life, that will never understand why we're doing what we're doing, because they're about making money. But there is good people out there that genuinely care, and those are the ones that we really need to connect with.
Yes. Okay, I agree.
I'm going to add something to that. I just posted in the chat. This is the link to the Gwich'in Steering Committee page where you can donate to the Gwich'in Steering Committee. And as an ally and as a settler, I encourage you to take a look at that page, as well as our Arctic Refuge page. I'll put that back in the chat as well. There is a place on both of those pages, I think, where there's a place you can donate on this page, and there's also a place where you can follow and join their reading list or their email list. The other thing is that the campaign with the banks and the insurance companies, I believe Bernadette was Sierra Club, one of the key organizers of that. I remember getting emails from Sierra Club about joining that to actually pressure the banks.
Yeah. We work with a lot of different entities. We work with the Alaska Wilderness League, the Earth Justice. We all work equally together. We just lead the fight, but they help us a lot with the connections and getting us in there. But we speak for ourselves. And that's why I'm so glad that, like Angel's here, because I'm not permitted to speak for other tribes. I'm only permitted to, because we represent 14 communities throughout Alaska and Canada. But I was always told not to, to share the platform, and, because it's not just about us, but we're Alaska Natives when it comes down to it. And this is our homelands, and we're not going to just sit by quietly and allow people to continue to come in and do whatever they want. We're the ones who's going to have to live with the destruction that they cause. So, yeah.
So the Gwich'in Steering Committee also has social media sites. I believe you have a Facebook page which you can follow to help get updates on how to support and what campaigns are being done. And then do you also have other social media handles, or is it mostly Facebook?
Yes, I accidentally sent you my personal ones, but it's our Arctic Refuge, the website, and then the same thing for Twitter, and then the Gwich'in Steering Committee for Facebook.
Great. All right, same question for Angel. What is the best way to support the campaigns you're working on now?
So recently there was a comment period, but that ended a few months ago. So there was that, and we would really love if people can also send, I got to get the information and the email and all that, but we were also sending information to the Army Corps of Engineers to reject those permits. So I'd have to get the email and stuff. And I believe we can just do it anytime, but I'd have to, was there a period for that? I don't think so. But yeah, so there's that. And also we have a little bit of good news that the project was delayed for 6 months. And I think it has to do with that comment period. But at the same time, we're still fighting. It's still a really critical time, because in this time, like I said, they're going to Washington, they're going to, it's like all the politicians here in Alaska, they want this project done. And so we're really, really up against a lot, but, we're doing it because, I care about, my area. I care about my people and my tribes and the water. But we would really like, support, continued support. We're working on this. We're going to continue to work on this. So, yeah.
Okay. On a similar note, I reposted in the chat the site for donating to the Mining Impacts Network. That's what it's called, Alaska yes. Mining Impacts Network. And this, it's being kind of centralized, like the fundraising through the Alaska Conservation Foundation. And I think we have somebody here at the program today from the Atlanta Conservation Foundation. And I think there's a place there where you can also follow the work of this campaign. So I think it's, do you also have like a Mining Network's Facebook feed and social media feed for people to follow?
I don't think we do. I think we're just beginning, you know, like I said, the council is beginning. We're all this just recently started. So I don't think we have much, I don't think we have a website. I'll have to find out though. And I don't think we have a Facebook either.
Well, so I guess if you were going to donate to the Mining Networks, then that would give them resources to get some of their the message out there. So I think it's a pretty new network. Okay. Second question from the chat. Is there a generational split regarding climate in your communities? Climate and also extraction projects. For example, younger people, how much power do they have relative to older folks? And also people who have oil, gas, and mine money. So Bernadette, why don't you start?
So the Gwich'in Steering Committee, we, our leaders understood that after the coastal plain was open to oil and gas development, they understood that this was going to be a longer fight. So we designed the Gwich'in Youth Council, and they have been going to Washington, D.C. with me for the last 3 years. They spoke at the United Nations. They learn what we actually teach them is the creation story of the Gwich'in and the Caribou, the 3 branches of Congress, and how to change laws and why we're doing what we're doing. Because a lot of them grew up hunting, fishing, we're seasonal hunters. So they love their food. So that's one of the main reasons why a lot of them join. So they're getting a lot of footing. They and I do notice that when the younger generation speaks, people do listen, and they work really good as a team. I'm really proud of the work. We just went to DC, and they did an amazing job.
All right, same question, Angel.
So it's a little different. So like I said, our native corporation, NANA, and Tech, and these other mining companies, it was difficult for me because they're the ones who were having meetings in the villages, and they were the ones over the radio, and they were, there at the beginning telling them how great it is and how much money we'll make, and they were there. But so about a year ago now, we've been doing a lot of social media. Like I said, I've been spreading information about the impacts of mining on social media. And we also went there last year in August to do a community outreach. And that was, it was awesome. We went there, but I feel like, after I said what I had to say and spread information about the impacts of mining, I feel like there are now more people who are against, mining and extracting from from the land. So yeah, and then like I said, also the NANA, they have a lot of control and make revenue from red dogs. See, I was born into this corporation, and I didn't know about mining and what a corporation was and how they were getting their monies and stuff like that. And we do get a dividend each year, but it's not much. It's really not much, and it's really not worth it. And then in the beginning of this, about a year ago, I had no clue about the effects of mining. And then once I learned about it, I started spreading the information. And then actually, to add more to this, is that my village actually has a resolution to support the road. So you can see where our leaders are not, representing us, and you can see how complex it is. So I'm from, my village who supports this project, but I don't, and most of us don't. And so I can get into it. I can really get into it and, tell you guys how much our leadership isn't representing us correctly. And I can, maybe I'm not on this call, but yeah, if you understand. Yeah.
it's the same thing with us. I mean, like the corporations, they have these leaders that stay in there for long periods of time. Many of them, like for instance, I don't want to speak ill on anybody, but if you watch the what I sent you, that's just a short version, but there's a longer one, and on there, Representative Huffman actually asked one of the head honchos, I guess they're called, and the corporations, how much money he made, and like 30 million, and we get like, I don't know, maybe like $1,000 a year, and these people are getting 30 million. I mean, $30 million. That's, and you're giving your people $1,000 a year. But when it comes down to it, it's not about the money. We want healthy land. We want clean water. We want pristine land. We want clean air, healthy animals to hunt. That's what it's about. And there's no amount of money that's worth losing what we have, because we are already rich in our culture and way of life. And you know, these people in the corporations, they have a platform. They have the money to say and do and to convince our own people. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've seen it year after year after year with the oil, for instance, the oil companies that are in Alaska, they don't get taxed very, it's unbelievable, but these corporations will come out and say that they're gonna scare out of Alaska and we're gonna be left with basically nothing. And that's the mindset that they give our people. They can say, and then you know, our people, they see somebody brown saying this, so they believe it. That's why it's always important to do your own research. You know, and I was a victim of that. I listened to, because that was my corporation. Why would they lead me down the wrong path, you know? But yeah. Unfortunately, it happens. And I grew a brain and I started doing my own research and understood there's more healthier ways to make money than destroying our land and our putting our future generations at risk of food shortage and contaminated water and sickness. You know, there's other ways, and it's sad that our elders, they tell us to take care of what we have. They didn't tell us to fight for oil or coal, or they told us to protect what we have, and that's all we're trying to do. And we're not environmentalists, we're not activists, we're just simply trying to protect our way of life.
Thank you. There's another question about the Willow Project. We've been reading that there's some Alaskan Native tribes that support the Willow Project. Any comments on that would be useful? And then what do you think is still possible in stopping the Willow Project, if you have a thought on that as well? Let's start with Bernadette and go to Angel.
Okay. Well, just like we were saying, there are some people that are in support of certain things. But like they have the platform, right? But there's still other people that live there, that hunt there, and then their voices are not being heard. When it comes down to it, not everything is about money. It's about our survival. Our survival is our land. We are interconnected to our land, to our water and animals. If one of them is unhealthy, and then we're all unhealthy. That's just the way it is. That's how it's always been. And then what was your second question?
What can we still do to help stop the Willow Project and other kind of extraction projects?
I always feel in my heart that as long as you're willing to stand and fight, there's always hope. There's just some people that will never that will never understand what we're trying to fight for. But, there's people like Angel, we will never give up. We're not going to give up. And there's always going to be hope. We need allies, like I said, we need supporters, and we need people to be sharing our truth, not the truth of people that are benefiting, self-serving, and but the people that actually care about our future generations. The world don't end when we, we have to take care of what we have. I mean, our future generations deserve to see the world as it was, the way that Creator made it, not just when we're done with it. And, there's always hope. I'll never give up. Even if there's an oil rig that gets put into the coastal plain, which I doubt, I'll never give up. I will never stop fighting. It's just not in me.
All right. Thank you. Angel.
Yes. Sorry, what was the question?
Well, it was about the Willow Project, but also we have 3 minutes till the top of the hour. So any other final words or thoughts you have, but anything else you want to say about the Willow Project, if you have thoughts.
Okay. Yeah, my focus is, on mining and stuff. I don't know too much about the Willow Project. I'd love to learn more. But yeah, Bernadette said a lot of good things.
And then any final words, Angel? Oh, go ahead, Bernadette. Go ahead.
I have a final word. You got to ask yourself, what side of history are you going to be on? Are you going to be on one that about greed? You're going to contribute to the destruction of Mother Earth? Or are you going to help protect her? Because there's no in between right now. We're at a very crucial time, and it's very scary for our children. I have children. I have 7 grandchildren and 4 children, and I worry about their future. I worry about what we're going to leave them, and that's. And if you have a young person that you love and care about, then you need to start using your voice, because we don't have any more time. We really don't.
Yes, I agree.
Angel.
I agree. I want my children to be able to experience going to fish camp and eating the healthy fish and drinking the water,
Was there more you wanted to say, Angel?
No, it's just like, so much. This really means a lot to me. Like whenever I think about this project they're, trying to build, it's really, there's like a lot of pressure, it's so devastating. It really means a lot to me, to really, it just can't be built, because it's going to change everything. It's going to be so devastating. Like 10 Fairbankses, that's huge, man. That's really huge. That's millions of waste and chemicals into our river. They're going to be dumping into our river, and the health, and then the air pollution, from the
and people,
chemicals,
people that will be coming in that you don't know.
They're gonna come in and do other mining claims, and hunt the moose and the caribou that we need to survive on, that we survive on. So
I think it's just safe to say that we support the Willow, the protection of the Willow Project. Like she protects the Ambler Road, I protect the Arctic Refuge. It's all in the north, but like I said, what happens here happens to all of us, and it'll happen to where you guys are. The warming, we're thawing 4 times greater than the rest of the earth world right now. And we have sinkholes, and it's chaotic. But like I said, we need people to share our truth, to share our stories. And, thank you for using your platform to get our issues out there. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Alma.
You're welcome. You're most welcome. So, Gwich'in Steering Committee, Alaska Mining Issues Network. Copy the links from the chat. We'll also have a follow-up email with those links, as well as copies of part of the presentation and some of the videos. If you liked what you heard today, please, and if you aren't already a member of the Climate Reality Project Bay Area chapter, please consider joining. Follow us and join our climate justice team here. We have this project, Indigenous Voices. We have an Environmental Justice Coalition project. We also have a Diversity, Equity, Inclusion project on allyship to frontline communities. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for taking the time to be here and to support the work of the Climate Reality Project Bay Area Chapters, Indigenous Voices Project, and to listen to these very important words from these Indigenous women from Alaska.